Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man. This will technically be the 18th video of mine that will have come out uh, in the year 2026. It is, however, the first one I am producing in 2026. So I don't know if any Happy New Year greetings or anything like that is really necessary, but I just wanted to, I just wanted to comment upon it and to use this opportunity to talk about a subject that has been brewing in my mind for quite a while, but that I haven't really developed anything around up until now. And uh, and that topic, as the title of this video already gives away, is factions for dystopian fiction. And um, given I'm not really doing anything with my look for this video, I can pretty much tell you that it is off the cuff. So whatever comes out of my mouth is what this video is is going to include. It just so happens. Now I did give some thought to this. I did give some thought to this topic, and truth be told, I could have done it for either of my channels. And while my primary inspiration was Divergent and how a lot of Hunger Games clones were actually Divergent clones, given that they tried to duplicate the faction system, which Divergent itself also kind of messed up a little bit. But really, even though Divergent was the primary, inspiration, it is not the, it is not the first point at which, societal factions were really, were really developed, because Divergent was really just one output of the broader dystopian fiction, which in turn was actually a response to utopian fiction, which also did the same thing, dividing uh, societies into various categories of people who do various things in order to make sure that the broader society reaches its maximum output, which, as an idea, is as old as antiquity. So this is not something new, and also this is not a how-to video. If it were, I would have called it something like how-to or how I would or something like that. Instead, I think it would be more interesting to consider it as a workshop, or rather, as my results for uh, how I would workshop factions within a society such that they would reach the outcome that I would consider to be the most stable. Of course, this is only my idea, and of course, this is not the only uh, reference point which you can use to create such factions. I might do a full how-to on faction building in some in some future video, but that is beyond the scope for today. For today, I just want to present to you my idea for a optimally stable sorry about that, an optimally stable dystopian society, or the thing that people should avoid their societies collapsing into, more or less. Potentially. And the thing about that is recognizing that every aspect of a current society, even those that are deemed most stable, do still have those certain elements of instability within them. They are quasi-endemic when it comes to turning a tribal population, which is what humanity emerged as, into a larger, some could say, hive uh, population, one that lives not just in communities of hundreds, but in communities of uh, thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and beyond. So how would that look? So how would people with tribal minds be transported into global cosmopolitan civilizations. I'm gonna present my concept to you in the same way Brave New World did. So from from infancy all throughout life. And as an infant, I imagine that you wouldn't actually have you wouldn't actually have parents, or okay, you would have biological parents. You would be born, obviously. And yes, I do think, and yes, I do actually think births are perhaps preferable to birthing machines for a variety of reasons. However, you would not be raised by the people who, by the people who you are the result of. That would instead be the responsibility of of a carer faction. So someone who, so a group of people within within this society who have the specific knowledge base that would allow them to take on that role of, um, that role of caregiver for a variety of, for a variety of people, for a variety of children mostly. So childhood would basically look a lot like, orphanages, but hopefully more high-end orphanages, so to speak. Given that all children would basically be, basically be estranged from their parents, but they should still have the building blocks necessary to allow them to do. Basically allow them to be functional members of this society. To make that happen, the second faction they would most likely encounter is that of a is that of an is the educator faction, someone who would impart them with the knowledge they would need in order to make something of themselves within this within this social structure. And should it become necessary, they would also come in touch with in touch with the medical faction, someone who looks after their, someone who looks after their medical needs, making sure that they get, making sure that they stay, make sure they stay fit, and that would be, that would be how they grow up and that would be how they, and it is within this environment that they would grow up very much, very much communally, but still having a, decent sense of uh, oversight and attention, and that would be, that would be given to them. I'm not sure if they would necessarily be spoiled or coddled or neglected in any way. I don't really aim for either for any of that to be the case, though I imagine it is possible for it to be the case. When it comes to, so when they reach adulthood, I think it does make sense to have some kind of coming of age ritual that they would, that students of this the students of this generation would have to, would have to go through. However, the thing about all such rituals is that they can be failed, and a society that has the ability that, and because of that, there would be some some number of people who could not integrate within this society. So, and let me just say, people not integrating within a society is a top tier form of, or rather, influence of instability, and that is very much something that I would choose to, something that I would choose to eliminate. So, nevertheless, this is something that might be. So, this is something that is maybe best left to, best left to future drafts, so to speak. And when it comes to, adult careers, well, there are two very obvious, very basic, very basic careers that are to be considered. First of all, that of farmers, or rather, food growth workers, because people need to eat, people need to make sure they have their needs met, and being in a position where the being in this resource management position is very much necessary. You need a faction that very much takes care of that. And the second faction that is absolutely necessary is is some kind of an uh, engineering or technical faction, something that can develop and maintain all of the various devices that this society uses in order to maintain its apparata, which it uses to run itself. Two other potential factions would also make sense here. Maybe some kind of faction that controls the laws. You can think of it as a legislative branch, if not entirely an outright government, because I don't really want a specific part of of society to be in charge with with running the state. That's aristocracy. I do not want to I want to avoid that. So going for a more democratic approach, where where people from all factions can take a seat within a larger governing body, makes more sense for long-term stability. And another faction to potentially consider is that of the military, and whether I actually want there to be a military, or if it would not in fact potentially make a little bit more sense to decentralize it, and therefore give every member of the society some level of self-defense, or some capabilities of either self-defense or defending others. Again, this is just something to think about. In larger operations, though, the necessity for coordinating officers would emerge. But whether these coordinating officers would basically form a faction in and of themselves, and then call up everyone else periodically, even without an emergency, to kind of do routines, that would be something to consider. And given I already mentioned children, the potential for child soldiers could also come into play. Depending on how exactly one views how necessarily one views maturity and necessity interacting with these topics. It's a complex issue, but it is one that I think you're free to explore. And so let's see. So far we have a carer / educator faction, medical, educator, engineer, and resource collection. I defined it as farming so far, but it could also be mining to some extent. Whether farming or mining would be two distinct factions, or simply different specializations within a given faction. Same way you can be an educator for for various levels of knowledge, is something I'm actually yet to cover, yet to consider. And then there are two more potential factions that I've discussed. So someone would go through life in one of these factions, and I do want to give the potential for retirement. I think that is generally a good thing for a society to have. And at that point, you are socially very much in the same role as as children, where you have primarily a carrier faction and a medical faction, or a subdivision of these respective factions that that is supposed to handle you. But given you would be otherwise independent, you don't necessarily need the educator faction and well, actually in general we have different needs because you have different because old people are different from very old people are different from very young people. Quite obvious, really. And yeah, that was it. That was my presentation for how I think factions, for how factions within a dystopian fiction could work, or what the most stable arrangement of such a faction would actually look like. That being said, this is still very much a work in progress. It is a workshop, as I've already alluded to. So if you wish to contribute to it, I very heartily welcome you to do so. And in fact, I am looking forward to what suggestions you could bring to the table. Until that happens, however, I would like to say thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed it, well then please like the video, maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to add, either to the idea of factions in dystopian fiction or to my particular realization of this concept, that is what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe. And ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. So yeah, as I've already said, if you want to see my next video, subscribe, ring the bell, or do whatever else. I also have a main channel where I talk about book-related and literature topics, a link to which you can find in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. If my thoughts on the print medium and selected works doesn't interest you, then I suggest you stay on this channel, where aside from the oddball thoughts on various kinds of fiction, I also have more pointed, more specific videos where I, for example, do reviews, overviews, or pitches for various television and cinema projects, or where I also kind of shoot the breeze about about a variety of other topics. So if that sounds like it could be up your alley, go ahead and check out my channel. If however it doesn't, then you're free to do whatever you want the rest of your day, because it is your day after all. And yeah, that was it for me. So until next time, I have been the One Take Man.